everybody, and welcome to the Harry Potter Trading Card Game Revival podcast. My name is Sammy,
And I'm Huamin.
and today we're going to be talking about, or I guess introducing, the drafting that we've introduced in the Harry Potter card game to all of you. Our most recent set, Quidditch World Finals, came out about a month ago or a little under a month, and we designed it with draft in mind. And we want to talk about what drafting is, kind of the rules that we've set in place for drafting in Harry Potter, the other things that we've kind of done to make it a little more unique or work within this game, and then talk about kind of what our future plans or thoughts would be with drafting as well. So really just an introduction to that entire process for all of you, and then also remind all of you about our weekly or bi-weekly events that are drafting events where you can come and draft with us and play with a bunch of other people online, and it's a really, really great time. So do you want to talk about draft? I personally don't draft a ton. I much prefer constructed stuff. Maybe we should just talk about the difference between like what constructed and what draft means.
Yeah, so draft is just like a limited format. It's one of the many limited formats that exist that we shamelessly cribbed from MTG because MTG
Yes.
has 700 different types of formats. But limited just means that you don't have access to basically every single card that's ever released. You have access to only the cards that you're picking at the event. So if this was actually like a paper game, if you went to a limited format, you wouldn't bring any cards. You'd just be building a deck with the cards that you got at that site. Since, of course, we mostly play in the digital realm, unless you want to print out everything and make your own packs. You're just going to come in without a deck list or anything or a deck constructed, and you're just going to make a deck on the spot. So the basics of draft is that you're just going to pick up a booster pack, you're going to open it, you're going to look through all of those beautiful cards, you're going to take one and pass the pack on to the left or to the right, depending on which round it is for pulling cards. And then you'll be handed a pack with one less card, and you'll take another one out of there and pass it on and so forth, until that pile of 11 cards in your booster pack became 0. And you have 11 cards that you've picked in front of you from those packs that have cycled around. Usually there's more cards in the pack than there are people at the table. So when you take a card from a pack, you can start to notice like, wow, these are the cards that are missing from the pack that I used to have. Other people at the table signaling that these are the colors and the cards and strategies that they're trying to go for. So you try not to step on anyone's toes, because if two people are clashing for the same types of cards, it gets really rough, and everyone else, except for the people that are clashing, will benefit from that.
Yeah, that's a really
Um,
interesting thing to talk about too. Like, it's not just you picking your own cards. You have to be very aware of what other people are doing. And when I draft, I'm just like, I don't care what they're doing. I just want to do my thing and I'm going to ignore them. And I don't necessarily have the best decks because of that, and I'm not drafting the best cards. But yeah, you really have to pay attention to what is missing and what are other people potentially trying to do so that I can kind of counteract that.
you can also just like degaff wing it, figure it out as you go along. It's all good. We're here to have fun. You don't have to be the best drafter, but like quote unquote best drafters would be the people that are like, oh man, I know exactly what the person on my right is doing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we actually
uh,
drafted last weekend. We've drafted a lot in playtesting, and it's just been kind of like this very small group of people who have been around since the beginning of designing this set. And so this was my first draft with all of you guys out there, and it was a lot of fun just to like have everybody sitting on a voice chat and to listen to what people were saying as they were drafting, and like the comments they were making and the comments I was making, like who the hell designed this set? Me.
yeah.
And just it was just a lot of fun. And I was just like, I just want to play the cards that I love the art for, or I just love the flavor of. And I just was doing that. And the cool thing about drafting is you can do that and still do okay and not lose all the time. We really kind of mold what this set is going to be that you're going to be pulling cards from. So the power level is very controlled. So you're likely not going to get this like one deck that's going to just steamroll everybody, because you should, in theory, be at like a relatively level playing field. In
Yeah,
theory.
in theory.
That doesn't always happen, but in theory.
Yeah, and then another thing that is different about HPTCG and this format for draft for Quidditch World Finals is that you have 3 packs, which means that you're going to get 33 cards, and then you pick up another 2 study packs, which we're going to go over a little bit later, for another 26 cards each. or
Yep.
26 cards from the two for 59 total cards, which is like a lot more than I think some other games will give you, especially
Yeah.
because you're making a 60 card deck. You're going to add like 20, 24, 20-ish lessons in there. So you're going to only need like 36 of those 59 cards that you have to put into your deck. So you have a lot of leeway for like taking cards that you might not actually use later on.
And I think one thing to say as well is that you just mentioned that you're going to put 20 to 24 lessons in your deck. You will not be drafting basic lessons. If we decide to build a set that has advanced lessons, you would draft those. But for the basic lessons, you get access to as many as you want. So they're just kind of like off to the side, and then you just pull out 12 Quidditch and 12 creature, and you put those into your deck. And those are just kind of sitting there on the side.
Of course, you're going to play Quidditch and creatures.
Of course. I'm definitely going to play Quidditch. The second color is totally just kind of whatever is driving that day with me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and then the last thing is that also HPTCG is very easy to splash colors. You just need to play one lesson of that type, and then
Yep.
you can play every single card of that color. So it's very easy to like throw in a third color. You don't have to stick with two.
Yeah.
You could do three, four, five. Probably don't do four or five. That's a
That's
little
a little
rough.
rough.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, you could do a lot of colors. And if you see like a card that you're like, oh my gosh, this card's so good, but it's not in my colors, try it out, see what happens.
Yeah.
It might work out.
Yeah.
And it might not.
It very well might not. But the good thing about draft two is that with draft, you are going to draft for maybe 20 minutes is how long it takes you to kind of go through the packs. Another 20 minutes to build the deck. You play some games, and then you can do it again. And it can happen very quickly. Whereas when you're building a normal deck, you're probably thinking, usually with a competitive standpoint in mind for an upcoming tournament or something, and what cards across the entire 1,000 card pool are best for this. Draft is great because you have a much limited scope, about 110 cards total that you're going to end up choosing from the study packs and then the actual set. So you just it's just a quicker thing that you can do. And if you don't draft the best stuff and your deck's just not the best, you finish out the games and you just do it again. And
Yeah.
that's just a nice thing where the pressure is kind of taken off of you.
Yeah, and also like if you lose, it's not because you're a bad player, it's because your luck was bad. You just opened up bad stuff and like your
Yeah.
opponent got the craziest bombs in their first pick and there's nothing you could do. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. When we were drafting last weekend, I don't remember what two colors I was going for. It was Quidditch and something. And in in
Of
my
course.
second, of course, in the second round, so in the second pack, there was one of the four packs going around that only had one Quidditch card, and all the other cards were not in my second color, and there was nothing I could draft. So I'm just like picking a card from a different color that I'm never going to be able to use. And I was like, whatever, somebody else is going to get luckier than I am, and this is just an unlucky pack, and I can move on to the next one.
There is a little bit of facetiousness in there, but there's also like you're opening up random packs. There's
Yeah.
going to be an element of luck. But I mean, we play trading card games. We love luck.
Yeah.
Variance, of
Yeah,
course.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And
Um,
hopefully with all of this drafting stuff too, it kind of is taking some of you guys back to the early 2000s when the game actually would have been printed and you're actually getting to like open packs and get kind of a surprise for what's going to be in there. And I think that's a really beautiful thing about draft is it can put you into that space that we can't necessarily do with like a dead game that isn't having new cards. And so now you get to open packs. You get to actually experience what you would have years ago. And from a nostalgic standpoint, because I was playing when I was 8 when it came out, I just really love getting that feeling again.
oh man, I hate opening packs. Like,
I love opening
there's
packs to see what's in them and then to go on to the next pack. I don't like having to build a deck from them.
oh
Ironically, we're talking about draft and whatnot, but yeah.
when I open packs these days, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so much chaff that I don't know what to do with. I have like two boxes just sitting in my I don't open packs because I hate chaff and I still have so much chaff. I'm sure it's worse for those people that are like, okay, I'm gonna buy like 7 cases of booster boxes and then
Oh
figure
God,
it
no.
out. Yeah.
No, I would only open up packs if it was for like a game I really loved or for drafting. And then other than that, I'm like, I'm gonna buy singles of stuff for whatever games I do play.
Yeah, like, oh, okay. Anyways,
Anyway.
when they were designing Quidditch World Finals, they were really thinking about like draft archetypes for each of the lesson types that would kind of like give you a sense of what is this color all about and what are we trying to do with this color. that really comes together and gives you a little bit of a guide on where you're going when you decide that I'm going to go deep into this color.
Yeah,
So we're
so
going to.
to kind of frame that though against like a normal set. So when we design like a normal set, we know Charms does a lot of like direct damage and Transfiguration usually cannot. And then Potions usually has like a couple healing stuff and like all the colors have, I don't know, half a dozen to a dozen different things that they can do in different ways. So we always kind of stick to that, but to be more specific about like the archetypes, it's like we chose one or two specific things that that color does, and we tried to make as many cards, if not all the cards in that color, do those one or two things. So we were trying to be like hyper focused more than we normally are to make this a draftable set, just to kind of really position it against what a normal set would look like.
We're going to briefly go into like each of the colors, talk a little bit about what they're doing, and talk a little bit about like if you're just going to splash it a little bit, take a couple of those cards and put them into your deck, but not like make it your focus. What are you going to be looking for in those colors? First of all, we're going to start with creatures.
The best draft color.
It's kind of hard. Like creatures are just the best on rate damage to your opponent. Games are necessarily like kind of slower because decks are less optimized. You're not going to win in like 7 or 8 turns in a draft environment. Like in a limited environment, that's absurd.
Yeah.
7 to 8 turns is usually like a decent aggro deck in constructed, but no one's going to be playing like 3 sandstone gargoyles on you on turn 2 and just like beating you for 9 a
No,
turn.
no, no.
That's why you'll notice that there's not like a lot of creatures that have like 3 or 4 damage per turn. There's like a Rumpet is like 4, and that's the top end, and that's at 8 cost, or like Weasley Ghoul for 6, but like also kills the creature that you have.
And
So
one of the sub themes to creatures as well was to try to give them a discard ability too, or
mhm.
like an ETB of some sort. So that's why we made them weaker too, was because in draft there's not many ways to remove creatures. So we wanted their health to kind of be a little lower so that it was easier to kill them and whatnot, since they can overrun draft very easy. And then if they're killed, you get a benefit. And so there was kind of that sub theme loosely in there. It's just hard to design with what, 16 or 18 creature cards.
So creatures are like they're kind of about killing your own stuff for a benefit, small like utility creatures that don't really mind being fodder for these bigger effects. If you're thinking about like splashing creatures, you might look for those smaller utility creatures, or if you're ramping up super high, you might look for those large beat sticks. Like if you're hitting 8 power, a Rumpet is probably one of the best cards that you can just play. You just drop it down and it's going to win the game in like 4 or 5 turns if they don't deal with it.
Oh, it's doing
And
so
that's
much
all the fun.
damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is very, very threatening. Or stuff like Firefly or the Billywig. Those cards that like filter your hand, get more cards, like that's always pretty decent. And then they give you a little bit of chip damage that can really add up over the game, especially if you get them early.
Yeah, creatures are really just providing what it always has in the game. It's just that consistent damage that is really, really needed. Many people, I think, kind of just drift toward creatures because of the consistent damage when they're drafting. That's very easy to do, to just kind of fall into that familiarity with them, I guess. And I would just challenge you when you're drafting to, if that is your inclination, to try to pick two different colors and go for them once in a while, just to kind of challenge yourself and whatnot. But creatures do everything that you said. Yeah.
Or also, if you're sitting at a table and like 4 or 5 other people are going creatures, that's
Hey,
not
go
going to be
go
a
for
fun
something
time
else.
for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you might want to start pivoting. Uh, Remember,
Yeah.
you do have like a little bit more than 20, 21 to like 25-ish cards that like you're not going to actually play.
Yep.
So feel free to just pivot. Pivoting is totally fine, totally normal. Like maybe don't pivot on your second pack, but like in the middle of your first pack, if you realize that, oh God, there are no creatures ever anymore, like get out of there.
Yep. Going on to our next color is going to be Charms. And Charms is really about drawing cards and having a large hand size, and then getting benefit from having a large hand size and doing something with the cards in it, or doing something because you drew so many cards. So it's really just honing in on that entire concept of Charms likes to draw stuff. If you are going to be splashing Charms in some kind of way, there's a lot of good things that can either do some small creature damage, that can remove an opponent's thing from play. So you're going to look at kind of as a secondary color, maybe I just need a way to counteract my opponent's stuff. So I'm going to get a removal piece of some sort. And Charms will do that for you. And we'll talk about the study packs a little more in depth too, but the study packs have more to help you with that too in Charms. So Charms is really just secondarily about removal, which kind of is what Charms has also kind of done in general sets too, is remove stuff, usually bounce or something or damage.
Also, Charms, because it's focused so much on draw, it does offer a lot of draw cards, which can be definitely very good and very powerful to pick up. Like, I think standouts here are Meeting Diggory, 2 damage to opponent, kills one of their small creatures, and draws 2 cards. Veil of Fireballs
Great
can
card.
deal up to 3 creatures. Like, these are cards that can definitely help you, especially if everyone's drafting creatures like
Yeah.
everyone is normally doing. And try to find some of those like lower to the ground draw cards that can really help you dig for what you need to find to win the game.
Yeah, when
But
we were drafting last week, I had drafted a couple of times in Charms and drafted Campfire Stories. And
mhm.
Campfire Stories actually was a really, really good card. It was just giving me draw, it was giving me damage. It ended up being much better than I thought it was going to be.
Consistent damage, man, it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
no, it was good. It was very
Yeah.
good.
Though I would caution you, like, if you are going to just splash charms, like, you probably don't want those, like, super, super focused on if you've drawn X number of cards, like, do something. Because
Yeah,
those are
no.
kind of hard to turn on
Yeah.
when you're not really that focused on charms. Campfire Stories is fine because it's like, it's almost always going to just, or it's actually just consistent draw if you play it. And then, like,
Pretty
5 cards
much.
in hand is not that hard to hit after it's drawn you like 1 or 2 cards, and then it turns into just 3 damage a turn, and that's pretty decent. But if you're looking at like Cannon Pride, that's probably not a card that you would like to take if you're
No.
just splashing charms.
No.
So for this set, potions, the main theme of it is about like doing damage to yourself and possibly discarding your lessons. There's a lot of potions cards that will discard lessons. That's why the study pack, I believe, has potions dungeon. Yeah, potions
Yes.
dungeon in it, so you can get those potions cards back. I don't know how much payoff there is for like actually going hard into potions, to be honest.
Yeah, potions is more of kind of like a control color in this set more than anything. Like Delight of the Death Eaters, Auras Arrive, Interrogation. There was another one I was just thinking of. Tense Blaze. Yeah, these are really controlling your opponent more than like advancing your game in a large way. As we're talking about it right now, potions feels more of kind of like what should be your secondary color because it just has all the control pieces you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're gonna do X potions, you definitely find a color that's going to help you win the game. Usually that's Charms, Quidditch, or Comsi, anything but Transfiguration, because Transfiguration is not
Yeah.
really known for ending games. But
No.
if you want to do a charm or a potions transfig deck, I could actually see one working off of like Fire Whiskey plus merchandise card or something. I don't know. It probably exists out there. Someone will draft
Yeah.
it and prove me wrong. Yeah, potion seems like a very like control slower play style of like I'm
Yes.
gonna be getting these incremental advantages and then ending the game with like, I don't know, double Mord's Mortar or something to hit for 16 or like
Yeah.
that plus Malevolent Mixture for another 10 or something.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
some ways to kind of push through that little bit at the end, but it's just not significant enough.
Yeah, because I feel like it's bursty, but like it loses that burst. It doesn't have too much consistent damage
Yeah.
coming through, or its consistent damage is not actually that strong compared to the other things that we've been talking about, like creatures or campfire stories or something like that.
Yes.
But that's not to say that like potions isn't strong. Healing is one of like the craziest things I think in limited. Like just because in HPTCG when you're healing, you're actually just taking your good stuff and you're throwing it into your deck again.
Yep.
And that is crazy. If you're like splashing potions, like Renovate is probably the best common in the set, I think. It's heal 9 or something.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. I think
It is.
out of the four of us that drafted last weekend, three people took potions, mainly
Yeah.
because of the healing aspect of it. It was just so good.
It's insane. And then if you're going a little bit harder into potions, like Barula is in the study pack is like cracked as well. Just keep that in mind. Potions, healing, great. They also have some removal pieces, also very good to take as a splash.
Our next color is Quidditch, and Quidditch has the most cards out of any of the colors. It has 23, whereas the rest I think have like either 14 or 13. And the reason is because the set name is Quidditch World Finals, and this was meant to really focus on Quidditch and like that time in the Goblet of Fire book. So we wanted Quidditch to have like a really strong showing. And this is the last time in the Goblet of Fire book that we actually see Quidditch because the rest of the book is all the Triwizard Tournament stuff. So we wanted this to really represent what we may not see in the traditional way for the next two sets after this, really. And
Yep.
so Quidditch, we kind of designed the set in kind of two ways. The one way is we really focused on Porskoff Ploy and focusing on really big Quidditch spells. It's kind of a deck that exists in a somewhat playable way and constructed. And so we were like, well, what if we just make a bunch of big Quidditch cards and we just focus on you need to play as many big ones as possible or have them in your discard pile, and then you can win in this drafted format with big Quidditch cards. So that's kind of like the one direction you can take. The other direction I would say is just kind of like your standard Quidditch spells, nothing too significant different there. And then also just a lot of ramp as I'm looking at it. There's more ramp than I thought for Quidditch in the set. So, but Quidditch ramp cares about Quidditch. It doesn't care about ramp in general, so it's very Quidditchy in that kind of way. So that's kind of where the whole Quidditch stuff is leaning in this set. I think because there's 10 more cards in this color than any other colors, it's probably the easiest to draft because you're almost guaranteed to draft a good number of Quidditch cards. Granted, not all of them are useful, in a draft format. Some of them just you really can't use. But this is probably the best color to draft just because there's so many cards.
And also, there are a good number of like high cost cards that you can run with like a Porskoff play deck. The study pack for Quidditch also has a couple of high cost cards in there. But feel free to just like splash this. There's a lot of
Oh
good
yeah.
like Quidditch cards that are kind of lower to the ground, 4, 5, 6 in that area. So if you're gonna play a more like low to the ground aggressive-ish deck, Quidditch is still like a very good color to take. Might just not want to take the Quidditch study pack and take a different color and maybe
Yep.
go three colors at that point, which is totally fine.
Oh yeah.
But like stuff like Ronsky Feint is kind of cracked.
Yeah.
You have like Deliberate Collision, which is one of the better on rate. 6 damage for 5 is pretty nice. Distracted Referee or Diversion. These cards can really slow down your opponent while still dealing damage to your opponent. So there's a lot of good stuff in Quidditch that is lower to the ground. Or you just go really high up, play your giant stuff, and start taking all the giant stuff in the other colors that you're in as well, and try to just like beat them down after you've ramped up.
I wonder if this is how we make Quidditch good, as we make it the draft color that is just really good in draft. Because in constructed, I mean, it's gotten a little better, but it's not necessarily like great. I'm curious to see what this does for constructed moving forward. But maybe we just make Quidditch like a really strong draft color. I'm kind of liking this.
I know you're a Quidditch fan, but like
Very much so.
Quidditch draft, it's fine. It's
It's great.
chill.
It's great.
Yeah, Quidditch is fine. If you don't know what else to do for your secondary color, just go Quidditch. Like, there's a lot of good
Yeah,
Quidditch
really.
stuff. Yeah, and then last but not least is Transfiguration. It's mostly about items, play a bunch of items, get some item payoffs. It's probably like the most combo oriented of the colors in this set.
Yes.
A lot of their cards kind of struggle to do something by themselves. I would caution against splashing this color. There's not too much that you'd want in here that like really would help another color out. I think Trick Wand is probably like the biggest draw if you're going to go and splash Transfig, like 8 cost, copy another thing. But that's also like has gone straight into the combo direction.
Yep.
And combo's okay in limited. It's hard to make work because you need a bunch of pieces to come together, and you're not even sure if you're gonna have those pieces is the thing.
Yeah.
But I think it can be decent. Like you have ways to get like this sort of engine going with merchandise cart plus some other stuff that you can throw away to get more stuff out there.
I would caution, and you said this, that it really kind of only works with itself because of the item payoff. And like you can do some stuff with other items and other colors, but there's just not many items in other colors. Transfig also has the lowest number of cards, which is 12, whereas Quidditch has 23, and then the other three colors all have 14. So when you're drafting Transfig, make sure that if you are going to draft it, you probably want to start with like the game-winning pieces, which would be like Blackboard advertisements or something like that, and then see if you can draft more stuff after that. Don't draft the kind of like mid stuff expecting to get like a Blackboard advertisements later because you probably won't get it. So just be very cautious drafting Transfig because of the lower number of cards in the color.
I
It's
don't even know
totally
if you
playable still, but
I don't even know if you want to do Blackboard advertisements. I think this card is so bad. I think I would just find my damage in other colors. I would
Well,
use Quidditch as sort of, or I would use Transfig as sort of like this engine type thing. Like, if you take Transfig, you're just going to try to bury them in actions. It probably functions very well with Charms, especially because Charms is enchanted tables, but Charms will also be giving you more cards to like bury them with Draco Malfoy and playing out your hand all day and ramping super high.
yeah, I mean, it might be that Transfig it just is not the standalone and it should always be a secondary color because of that. And you just use it to support some other color. And Charms is a great one because you also have Quick Camp Kit, I think,
Yes.
which cares about items in play too. So there's some synergy outside of Transfig, and that might be the direction you want to go. I hope that as we're giving all of these suggestions with like, you might want to try this or you might want to try that, one of you proves us wrong and proves that like you could do Transfig by itself and do a mono Transfig deck and win in draft. I don't know. But yeah, there's other things in what we're saying. These are just kind of the trends we've seen.
And like general game sense, I guess, of
Yes,
from playing this game for years or something. I don't know how long. Some
25.
stupid
Oh.
number. Every time I talk about how long I played this game, yeah, Transfig, hard to splash. It's hard to main.
Yeah.
Definitely go into this with like, okay, I'm gonna take some good Transfig pieces that will like help my game plan with a different color, I think, unless you're balls to the walls crazy. That's not me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've never drafted Transfig as my main color. It's usually been my secondary color unless we were test playing. And then I was forced to do it main and I didn't want to. So
yeah.
I think that tells you pretty much all you need to know about Transfig as a draft color.
Or actually, the last thing about Transfig is that I believe they're the one color that has access to search, like tutoring effects. I don't think any other color does.
So there are two
So,
colors that Charms and, or maybe it's just creatures and Quidditch actually have lesson fetch, but no like
okay.
other
Yeah.
card. Yeah.
So Transfig has access, or in the study pack, which we'll get to right after this, has switching spell and inheriting the map. So if you did grab like that kind of crazy single spell or single item that's, if I get this, I'm gonna win the game, it might be good to go into Transfig so that you have ways to find that in your deck.
Yes.
Otherwise, Trick Wand is a good splash card. I don't think there's that much else that's good to splash.
Yeah.
Cool.
Other than that,
Transfig.
no.
Done.
Yeah. But we've
Study
talked a
pack.
lot, yeah. So we talked a lot about study packs, and we've said the name multiple times and what's in them, but we should really talk about their function and what they are. So real quick, everything we're talking about in terms of like draft rules, the guide, the study packs, everything else, there will be a link down below that you're able to access all that information from. So if you're curious, just go to that link and it will list out everything for you. But now let's dive into study packs and what they are.
Quidditch World Final is a 90 card set. That's because it is very hard to make a single card, let alone 90 cards, which is why we don't have a 200 and something card set that like Magic or other TCGs do to create a robust limited format that is supported very wholly by this. So there's going to be gaps in the limited pool. If you have 90 cards, it is impossible to fill. It's probably not impossible, but it is beyond the likes of me and Sammy
Yes.
to design a 90 card set that covers all our limited bases, which is why, was it Riss that came up with the idea?
So initially, I kind of took the idea from an existing card game where you take
Oh,
two
okay.
packs of various things and squish them together. And I was like, this would be a
Okay.
good way to like fill in these gaps. And then Risk came up with the name Study Packs, which was a wonderful
Okay.
name,
Yeah.
very, very flavorful, which was great.
Yes.
Real quick, I do want to provide kind of an example of one of these holes that you're talking about. So
Yes.
we said that creatures were incredibly strong in draft, which they're strong in many formats. And we didn't want to design 5 cards in every color that just killed creatures because we have to design the draft set with the larger 1,000 card pool in mind and how these cards are going to interact both in draft and in a larger pool. So when we were doing this, we made maybe 1 card in charms, 1 card in potions that would take care of creatures. But if you don't draft them, creatures are just going to run you right over. So what we try to do with study packs is like that whole of how do we deal with our opponent having all of these creatures and I drafted nothing that can kill them. Study packs are going to give you 1 card in every color that can now take care of creatures. So that's just one example of kind of like this hole that we weren't able to fill with a 90 card set that a study pack is able to then fill.
There are 13 cards, all in one color, that you take and you add them to your pool of limited cards that you can add. You have to choose 2 different packs out of the 5 existing ones, one for each color. So you're kind of encouraged to play more than one color, because otherwise you have just 13 or 12 cards that you can't
Yeah.
actually play. But that's also not too big of a limitation because probably will almost never draft a single color and make a single color deck. There's always
Yeah,
some
no.
other color that you would put in there. And it's HPTCG. It's really easy to add a second color. It's a little harder to add a third color, but it's still pretty doable.
Talking a little bit more about kind of like the breakdown of the study packs. So as you said, there's 13 cards. 12 of them are going to be in that color, whatever you choose. So Quidditch, Charms, etc. And they're going to be 2 copies of 6 cards each. So you're going to have 6 unique cards, 12 total cards. And then the 13th is going to be a starting character potential. So if you don't draft a character, you at least have access to 2 characters from the different study packs that you're choosing. And then if you don't like any of the characters you've drafted and you don't like the characters that you're getting in the study pack, everybody has the option to use Harry Potter as their starter if they want to. I would say that all of the starters in the study packs are definitely better than Harry Potter is as a starter for draft. But if you really hate them, you are welcome to use Harry Potter as just kind of like a fallback. So that's kind of the breakdown of what it looks like.
I think that Justin Flinch Fletchley could be argued to be around the same level as Harry Potter.
I mean,
Same
if
with
you
Lee
want,
Jordan,
yeah, like
but
if you want to
yeah,
draw but keep your deck the same,
yeah,
then
yeah.
Justin's better. But yeah.
Justin's nice because Charms just turbo draws and then you
Yes,
die.
it does.
So you might not want to
Yes, it
add to the turbo
does.
draw even more. Yeah, and then Lee Jordan, like if you're not too into Quidditch, like sometimes action draw 2 is better than like action to look and possibly draw 3.
Yeah. But hopefully
So
you guys will get draft actual characters from the set and get to
yeah,
play those characters, but we understand that because of rarities and everything, you may not get to
yeah,
actually see a character, which is unfortunate, but it's how rarities work and how a
yeah.
random pack works.
And that's definitely also another reason why study packs are great because you don't want to just not have an option or not have options for starting characters because starting characters are like such a big, they shape your deck because they're always there
Yep.
and they can't be removed. So each study pack is a set of 7 unique cards, 1 character, 6 other cards. These 6 other cards, as Sammy said, you have 2 of each. They're carefully curated to provide help for the main archetype of that color for the set. So like creatures will be dealing with like creature recursion and killing your own creatures for some benefit. Charms is all going to be about drawing cards. Potions is about like not dying and removal and a little bit of damage. Quidditch is about big stuff, and Transfig is about playing items and a little bit of removal.
So they're really just there to complement everything that you draft and to just make whatever you draft playable with again such a small set. With study packs, if we use study packs in future draft stuff, which we'll talk about right after this, we will curate study packs for each draft experience so that they really reflect what we want that kind of color or archetype to do within the set. And we may do rather than like lesson types, we may do card types or something in future study packs, but they will change with every single draft set if
Yeah.
we need them.
Yeah, because of course having a holistic experience through solely the packs that you open, it's fine. It's just a different way to do it. I won't say that either one is like better or worse than the other one. This is the one that we landed on because we thought that it gives a better experience than just drafting the base 90 card set. Even if we like added more packs to it, it would still be a little bit rough, even with just 90. And then a little bit on choosing which study pack that you want. Usually the most basic answer is just you're probably in 2 colors. Just choose the 2 colors that you are in. You'll complement your deck pretty well. That's why they have the cards that they do in them. That's probably like the answer 95% of the time. If you want to get a little bit spicy, you can look through and see like, what cards in here are like tech pieces that I would need to actually like fill out my deck and make sure that my deck actually works. Like I could see a Transfig Potions deck taking the Charms one to get like Enchanted Tables or something, or like Great Hall, just to try and fill out that little bit more damage and like draw that they would need. Or as I said before, like any of those colors taking Transfig for those search cards, because you will be selecting your study pack after you've drafted your entire pool of 33 cards. So you will know exactly what your whole pool is going to look like before you select those study packs.
Yeah, so you'll know the pool when you select the study packs. You are also allowed to look at the study packs before you go into drafting. That way you understand what the different packs are going to be offering. So as you see that first pack for draft, you're like, okay, I see these colors. I know the study pack is going to offer cards that kind of are going to fill in these holes. I'm able to draft these colors. Or I see these colors. The study packs are not going to give me what I need to do for this particular thing. I'm not going to draft those colors. So make sure you look at the study packs and then you draft so that you understand where you're going to get to at the end of the day.
Yeah, the study packs are called study packs because you're supposed to study before you play the game, right?
Yes,
That's what everyone
exactly.
likes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where the name came from. Yep.
Yep. Glad we have that settled.
So those are the study packs. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. They are again on the draft rules guide that we'll post, and they are also on Akio where there's a drafter you can use as well. But we also have a drafter on Tabletop Simulator that we will share as well.
That's the platform that I believe Frizz is using to run like bi-monthly draft events that
Yep.
he's trying to kick off, which all power to him. Great. I love to see the community come together and be playing these drafts. Unfortunately, I've just been busy for the last couple, or for
Yeah.
the, I guess I can say that because this will be released after the one coming in like 2 days that
Yes.
I'm going to be busy for. Yeah.
But let's talk about where do we go from here. This was obviously an experiment, drafting, or I guess designing a set meant for drafting. And so we want to talk about what are our kind of thoughts on future plans for drafting and just what it could look like. So I'll kind of start by saying that we do have a limited channel in our Discord, and there have been people there before that have tried to create a cube or something for people to play with. It's really died over the past like 2 or 3 years. People just prefer
Yeah.
general constructed, so that limited has really just fallen flat. So this is hopefully going to revitalize that limited idea and get people talking about cubes more. So I think there's kind of like two different ways that we could potentially move forward with future drafting that we're kind of thinking about. One of them is designing another set that is meant for drafting and doing kind of a similar thing to this set. The other option is making a cube of 400 cards. So we would hand select 400 cards to go in this. And then we would be very intentional with those 400 cards. I'm just throwing out a number there, 300, whatever. And we would have them work together in whatever ways to make archetypes or decks work or whatever. And then you would get draft packs based on that cube. And then you would build your decks based on whatever you draft from that cube. So we could do that. We could design a whole nother set. There's kind of some different ways that we could do it. This is very early in the public release of drafting for this, so we don't have anything set in stone at this point.
We want to see like where is the community in terms of like limited support, since this was such a limited focus set, like is that actually drawing interest into more limited styles of play? Hopefully the answer is yes. I would hate for it to
Yeah.
be a no.
Yes.
Definitely, if like response is positive, then we will look forward into more limited stuff in the future. If response is negative, maybe we still look into more limited stuff in the future, just like how can we change it to create a better experience.
Yeah, because oftentimes it's just that, as you said, the experience is what needs adjusting. It's the card pool, it's the way that it's being done, something like that. So I think that's something easy that we can play with in a lot of different ways. My hope would be that like I am not somebody who knows how to professionally build a cube for a game, mainly because drafting is not like my number one thing that I like to do. So I'm hoping that the community could offer suggestions, ideas for cards, and create a balanced cube as we kind of like lead that design if we do go in that direction.
Don't look at me. I've never played in the cube in my life.
I mean,
I've
it's
never.
it's not a common thing for me, but I think that we have some that we have enough experience that we could probably do some good work.
I could possibly make a half decent cube. I don't think it would be amazing though. I would not play with my own cube.
Yeah, but we'll definitely be leaning into the community for that all of that and relying on a lot of you guys to help us kind of build that and make sure that it's balanced, playable, enjoyable, all of those things. So do you have any last thoughts about like drafting or whatnot before we wrap up?
Drafting's cool, limited's cool. Don't always be stuck playing the same decks in constructed, and come out to more draft events because I am totally going to be there. Definitely
Yeah,
in the future.
of course. Yes. at all of the events. I
Yeah.
have two final thoughts. One is what you just said, like it's nice to be forced to play stuff that isn't what you always play and just like kind of stretching your deck building mind a little bit to have to just build something new. It's just a lot of fun. And the second thing is when we draft, you don't have to be with us, but we are typically on a voice chat. So last time we drafted, four of us were drafting, but there were five of us on the voice chat. And you're listening to other people draft and you're all talking about like life, cards, whatever it happens to be. And it's just a really fun time just to like
Yeah.
kick back and talk about stuff, but also get to play Harry Potter at the same time. And so it's a very fun community thing. So if you're just looking for that kind of experience and you're not looking for anything that's like hyper competitive, drafting is just a great way. And again, even if you're losing because your deck you just got unlucky or whatever, that's okay because you're still on chat talking with a bunch of people and it's just a lot of fun. So definitely play draft, if anything, just for that reason.
It also probably will make you a better competitive player or constructed player as well, because you're going to be thinking about things differently. You're going to have more experience with things that you don't have
Yep.
experience with. So seeing how things come together,
Yeah.
pretty nice. Coming tournament might be draft, probably not, but might be draft.
So we're going to try to do some type of tournament around drafting. We're working on the details of exactly how it's going to be structured, but we will have some type of tournament that is a draft tournament. It probably won't take the place of one of our four big ones throughout the year. Maybe it'll just be a day situation. Maybe it'll be like a weekend thing. Maybe, I don't know. There will be some draft experience. We're just not entirely certain what the competitiveness of that draft will look like.
Yeah, because unfortunately, our community is kind of scattered. So time zones
Literally
are
like half of the time zones in the world, and it makes scheduling stuff very difficult. We will do something,
I have
but
definitely got up at like 5 a.m.
yes.
more times
Yep.
than I would have liked for HPTCG stuff.
Yeah, for this podcast too. Yeah. It
Yes.
it is not 5 a.m. for him right now, but in the past, yes.
And also just like playing in those tournaments, sometimes I'm just like, okay,
Oh
I
yeah,
have
scheduling
decided
people.
that my
Yeah.
schedule is more flexible than your schedule, so I will get up at 5 a.m. and we will
Yep.
play a game. And I'm
Yep,
like, hmm,
it's a thing. It's a
it
thing.
is a thing.
Yeah. So we'll end up having a draft event, like a larger one that is more than just like the bi-weekly ones that we're doing. We'll have some larger draft tournament at some point. We will also be having our big tournament coming up in either August or September. Might try to shoot for the end of August, just so we can have one last one in like November before the year ends, but we'll kind of see. And that will be a regular constructed. And the one in August, September will be our first major tournament with Quidditch World Finals added in. I'm incredibly excited to see what that does and what new decks people have or what adjustments people have. I think it's going to be very exciting. So be on the lookout for that. We'll announce that on all of our socials as well. So make sure you're following all of those.
I
And
hope you're excited that I'm gonna play McGonagall creatures.
so I was I was debating
That's a
on what to
joke.
play. No. And I'm playing around with a McGonagall creature
Oh no.
potion situation. Mainly because I love potions. And I'm like, well, I don't like the typical creature transfig stuff, but does creature
Yeah.
potions work? Not really in the same way, but we're gonna try it because why the hell not?
Yeah, it's fine. Like I played
And
a McGonagall Quidditch creatures with
yeah,
like 3 transfig cards. And it was fine.
yeah.
That
I
works
mean,
out.
and honestly, when I play in tournaments, I'm not playing to win because I get to design cards and have fun all the time. And I'm like, I don't need to win. I just want to play stuff I like playing. So I'm a very different
Oh,
tournament player.
you gotta win every time. I play like most terrible decks, so it's all good.
I think your view on terrible is a little skewed, but yeah.
Nah, nah. If it's not getting first place, it's terrible.
Oh, okay.
Or I play terrible decks all the time.
Gotcha. But yeah, so
Yeah.
be on the lookout for both of those larger events coming up later summer-ish. And then we will also have the full draft guide and rules on our website. The drafter is on our website, Akio, as well. And then you can also draft on Tabletop Simulator. And please give us feedback about drafting. I will put up a feedback form about drafting just so we can kind of gather that so we hear what you guys say. Please leave us feedback in Discord as well because we read all those messages and that's a great way to like talk to us directly about what you like about drafting and what you don't like about drafting. And we do listen to that and we do try to incorporate it into when we're designing sets or designing events. So please leave that feedback. It's very, very helpful. Other than that, make sure to follow all of our socials. We're always posting videos, having events, doing other stuff. And thanks for listening. We'll chat with you guys next time.
Peace.